Alright, what is going on, YouTube? We have another video today talking about the dangers of retro game collection addiction. And I have an awesome commenter that put out his motivations for collecting, and also he put down some kind of tips and hints of how to collect safely, I would want to say. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the tabs. I'm going to show you the screenshots that I took of his comment, and we're going to go over each one and talk about them. And then I'm going to tell you my personal opinions on it, and we will just see how it goes. So one of the first things we're going to do is hop on over to this. So a big shout out to David Wren 3566 for this amazing comment that he did on a video in the past. And we're just going to read out loud this. This is my first time watching your channel. Great advice. I agree, X-Men on the NES is trash. Got in a small collection I purchased way back in the day. I got the collection for $30, so it was totally worth it. And in this video I was talking about how I was just buying games to build my collection, and then I was like trying to play some of them, and the X-Men on the original Nintendo, I think it was the Uncanny one. Horrible game. My motivations for collecting are to actually play the game first, even if it's for a few minutes. Second, I'm an indie developer that develops games for STEM classes and games that are research for me. Third, I'm a collector, but I only collect games that I want to play. You do not have to stick to one system, but you do have to be realistic about how much you actually want to spend. Here are some tips I would give to collectors. So first off, I think it's really cool that he is an indie game developer for STEM classes, and that he uses a lot of games for research, which is amazing because you will have some people with companies and stuff that will dedicate themselves to only one play style and focus in on that. He is basically going on to say that he plays different kinds of games to give him ideas and inspirations for developing video games for learning and educational purposes, which I love. And then that also, he is a collector himself. And now going on to his first tip, do not purchase a game, new or classic, for more than $100. In fact, if you're out hunting, keep that as your budget or lower and stick to it. And this is a great idea, because a lot of times people deal with the fear of missing out, and they will run across a rare game, probably going for around $150, but they will see it for $100, and then they'll be like, I have to buy this because the value is going up on this. It's insanely going up. And if I miss out on this, I might never find this game again. And I've been guilty of this in the past for garage sales. I will go in there with, some cash, run across some original Xbox games, and then wanting $5 a piece, and they really aren't really worth that much. But I'll buy a mass amount of them, go home, and go way over budget technically, but I will have a stack of games and be like, yeah, I got a stack of games today. But they aren't worth it, and it was totally just not going for it. And as being as cheap as I am, it's hard for me to drop to $100 on a game unless I can justify buying it. When I picked up a copy of Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, or not Snake Eater, sorry, Twin Snakes on the GameCube, expensive game. Only way I was able to pick that up was because I sold a bunch of other stuff, and I had the money as kind of just a backup fund specifically for buying games like that. Going on, buy because you want to. If it feels pressured by, if I don't get this now, or I won't be YouTube cool without it, it's just not meant for you. Think about it. It's unnecessarily peer pressure without the peers. Stop letting your mind trick you into this. Oh my God, I am so guilty of this one. We've talked about this, and I have a video. I can't remember if this was specifically talking to it, but it was talking about how my retro game collection wasn't actually my own. It was influenced greatly by YouTube and wanting to be better than other YouTuber collectors. And he is basically going on to say, that if you have felt pressured, if I don't get this now, or I won't be YouTube cool without it. If you're buying the game for that reason, that is totally wrong and pretty much unacceptable, especially if you have an issue with collecting addiction and stuff like that. Once again, this goes back to the golden rule of his, I only buy the games I want to play, even if it's only for a few minutes. Alright, moving on. Buy what you enjoy. I personally like to collect minigames that focus mainly on RPGs and action games. If you're curious about opening your mind to new genres or games, try them before you buy them so you don't feel buyer's remorse. Yes. Oh my gosh, so this one is a big one. And quite frankly, like David, I am a huge RPG fan. Not really too much of the newer ones with the more action style, but I was a big fan of the classic turn-based ones. And that's been mostly my private collection. I call it my private collection now, guys, because there's actually an area dedicated in my game room to specifically games that I'm going to keep forever, that are, you know, only sold if for emergency purposes. I have, you know, shelves and stuff over here which has games on them, but they're not really part of the personal private collection that I'm going to keep. But I focus on RPGs and action games that are on a wish list. I have a wish list off to the side that I will only buy games now off of that wish list because those are the games I actually want and I want to play. Now, if you're curious about trying different games, like I talked about in that YouTube influencing video about your collection, you will see Metal Jesus Rocks or Radical Reggie and them talking about, you know, hidden gems and stuff. And it might be on a genre you don't like. For example, I'm not a huge racing simulator fan or racing game guy. And I might see that and be like, oh, you know, they said it was a good game, so why don't I get it? And, you know, it could be a $30, $40, $50 game, and then I will hate it because guess what, guys? I don't like racing games. And as much as I try to want to, I just don't. Alright, moving on. Use YouTube for watching... I think I can go... Okay. Use YouTube for watching gameplay footage you're at the shop and unfamiliar with what you're getting into. This will help deciding with what to purchase. We are in the golden age of technology, guys, and back when I was younger, the only way to know if a game sucked was if you rented it or read about it in magazines. We didn't have the internet really yet, and some of those other things, so it was word of mouth if you rented it or if you read it in a magazine. So he's telling you basically, if you're thinking about getting a game to play, Hogwarts Legacy came out or something like that, and you're like, oh, you know what, I love Harry Potter and stuff like that. I'm gonna check this out. He's just saying that it's a good idea mainly to watch videos of it first to see if that's even your play style, because you might be looking more for an action game and this one could be more RPG element, and you might not even like RPGs. I know a lot of people that actually hate RPGs and they don't like anything with RPG elements, and that's one way to stop yourself from wasting money on games. Games are only worth what you are willing to pay for them. Try to drive prices down, though, through negotiation. Trade games you don't like for ones you do. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Yes. When you are negotiating and stuff like that, you can try for lower prices at a garage sale. Even a lot of game stores that are mom and pop stores and stuff like that, if you see a price you don't like, you can talk to them about that. There's a lot of times that I go into my own local game store and I will trade in a bunch of stuff, and then I will try to buy stuff. And I will ask if they can lower the price, considering I just, like, you know, brought in a big box of games, and they probably didn't even give me what they were really worth anyways. And a lot of times they're more than willing to negotiate a lower price and work things out. Because, you know, these people are selling stuff, they want to make money, and if they can sell this, they might do that. And going over that, trade games you don't like for ones you do. We kind of just discussed this beforehand too. I one time traded a stack of NES games that I was never going to play and stuff, and I got enough money to get Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. And I did that before too with a bunch of N64 and Super Nintendo games that I don't touch because I have a Super Nintendo Classic and stuff. And I was finally able to get something I really wanted for my game room, not to really play, but just to have for my private collection, and that was my Power Glove back there. But I traded all this stuff off for somebody that was going to want it more than me to get something I actually wanted. If you're feeling overwhelmed with buying, it means you need to stop and reevaluate. Sell things you don't want and play the hell out of your backlog. Do not purchase again unless you truly want it. Other than that, watch months fly by as you play your backlog and remind yourself why you played games to begin with. I am at this stage in my collecting phase now. I unfortunately was addicted to collecting before and was just buying and buying and buying. And now I've set up some kind of rules that I might do in a video down the road. But basically, I will not buy a game unless I first beat a game or two from my backlog. And the games that I do buy must be games that I'm actually planning on playing, instead of buying them for collection purposes or bragging purposes. So I really love this one because he said, other than that, watch some months go fly by as you play your backlog, and that's the way it's been. I'm currently playing through the Uncharted series, which I've never done before because I was too busy buying all these different games, not knowing what to play. And then it's just been liberating to actually sit down and play through these games. If it no longer feels like a hobby to you, sell your collection. Find something else that truly fulfills you. Hobbies are there to be enjoyed. If you do not enjoy what you're doing, it's lunacy. Only stay a collector or gamer if it makes you happy. That goes for anything in life. Good luck with your channel and keep on gaming, and just subscribe. Thank you, David, so much. We all need to remember that, originally playing games and stuff was to be enjoyed. You have some guys out there like the Wada guy, that I believe that doesn't even game. He just turned this into an investment and stuff like that. And then it's just, if it no longer feels like a hobby for you, sell the collection. That's what happened to me, guys. And I've talked about that in the past videos, is this no longer was fun anymore. And so I sold most of my collection, got a massive amount of credit at my local game store now, so when I start beating games from my backlog, I can go in there and check out games that I'm gonna want to play, or wait for games to come in that I want for my collection, my private collection anymore. Finding something that truly fulfills you, as he said, is really what this is about. You're trying, instead of filling a void inside of you by these games and stuff like that, sit back and actually enjoy gaming again. Try and stop focusing on buying more games and just try to focus on having fun. I want to thank you again, David, for this great comment. I've talked about this in the past videos. If you guys have comments like this that you want to share, and if I find out I'm able to actually make a video and talk more about this, then I will, of course, with your permission. David, I think, did go on to give me permission for this. If not, let me know, David, and I can just delete it. But thank you, David, and I hope that your indie games and stuff like that are developing good for STEM classes and everything. I think a lot of people don't understand how fun learning can be if you can associate it with a video game. You'd be surprised at how many geeks and stuff like us grew up really learning math a lot easier from playing like Dungeons and Dragons, playing RPGs and stuff like that, where you have to do equations and calculations to do massive amounts of damage, and just how everything works together. And then also too, just with creativity with art and reading and stuff like that. I remember that I got into reading books by playing Final Fantasy VII and Breath of Fire 3, because I really loved the game so much that I was later on like, I love the story of that. Maybe I love stories of everything else. So I got into reading, and I got reading Merlin, Harry Potter, and everything. And I really it really opened my horizons. And people don't understand how popular video games can do that for you, or how much video games can do that for you. So thank you again, David, and thank you for using your skills and stuff to develop games that help people. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these tips and if you can use them. And if not, do me a big one, and thank David too for taking the time to do this. I'm going to keep working on these videos, guys, and I love to read your comments and respond as fast as I can. As always, stay rich, my friends, and I will see you in the next video.